that, and I think we're going to be live. We'll just have to double check and make sure that. Oh, you know what helps? If I put the microphone in front of me. There we go. Okay, we got audio. Perfect. So, welcome. Good morning. And we're going to get started on milestone number 5 today. So this is our last milestone that we need to complete before we start getting people to actually play test the game. We're only 11 and a half hours behind schedule from what I initially planned. In the grand scheme of things, we're a 100-hour project. We're about 11% behind. That's not too bad. I mean, we are still only about halfway through the project, but being off by only 10% means so far, at least our plan's been working pretty good. So let's take a look today. First things I just do want to mention though, my mouse that's been acting up, my old Razer Ouroboros. Love the mouse, nice and heavy. It's got that nice like space age starship design. I like the weight of it. That's the big thing. And I ended up buying a new one of the Razer. What are these called? The Basculus Pro 35Ks. So hopefully my mouse won't be cutting out in this stream like it has been lately. So hopefully this will solve that. It's a lot lighter, so I'm not really used to the weight yet. I haven't quite dialed in the settings, but that should hopefully help. I mean, it's got a nice little shiny box. Razer is always good. It's green. Look. Green screen. Love it. But it's we'll see how it works. Hopefully it works just as well as the Ouroboros. So far, the only big issue I have with it so far is right here. I don't think it comes across on the camera, but there's a little line, and it's got like a little divot here, and the edges of the plastic hit right in my palm. So I don't know if I actually like it yet or not, but hey, good morning, Chris. I'm glad to have you visiting my stream. So let's see here. Let's get over to, let's see here. 1 second. We'll get into the right camera. So we queue over here. We're taking a look at our Dungeon Fire tiles. Again, we're at 51.6 hours. So we're, again, 11 and a half hours behind schedule on that, but still not too bad. So we're going to start milestone 5, which is pretty much all of this stuff, including the can I've been kicking down the road is range checking. We're not going to do that today, but I want to come back over here because I want to start with planning. So I'm going to jump back over into here. Here we go. This is at 200, so you should be able to see this. So our milestone 5 here for hours 40 to 50, we're at 51, so we're a little past that. So what we need to do is we need to be able to, go through multiple dungeons. We need to have a win-loss screen, incorporate our traps, build the items that our characters are going to have, give the characters an inventory so that they can actually reference those items. Determine, if we want an escalation mechanic and what we want to do with it, build the town shop, and then, of course, allow characters to equip the items and travel between stuff. And the exit condition for this milestone is going to be we start in town, we do a complete dungeon run, we visit town, we can do another dungeon run and come back to town. So basically, we have that gameplay loop. That's the exit condition of this milestone. I've been doing some planning this morning. I expanded this out the other night when I was trying to figure out, what the name of the episode's going to be and what I'm going to try to focus on today. Again, handwritten notes. So some ideas for discussion and stuff like that I'm kind of looking back and forth on, trying to decide how we're going to do this. And the big thing for this milestone is this is our MVP milestone. The minimum viable product that we're going to have here, something that's going to be playable, people are going to be able to use and play test. So we got to figure out what features do we need to have in and what features are just like nice to have things that we're probably not going to be able to touch. Especially because, as the intro video promised, feature lock at hour 60. We're 9 hours away from that. So, the big thing, the first thing I have on my list here is, do we need entrance and exit tiles? There is a possibility that we could have something, a run where they draw the tiles in the exact wrong order, however you want to say it, where they end up creating like a loop and there's no way to get out of the dungeon. There's no way to get to the exit tile. So I think what we're going to have to do is build both an exit tile that could be drawn in the stack, and we're going to have to add in entrance stairs so then the players will have an insurance plan to then get out in case they get stuck in that. Or if they feel like they're overwhelmed and they want to retreat, then there's entrance stairs. Handwritten notes are no doubt superior to digital. I do agree with that. I've Handwriting does take a toll on my wrist. I don't know if it's just the style I've always had with writing, because it's bothered me ever since I was in grade school. If I write too long, I think I just grip the pen too hard, and I think it causes problems with my wrist. But I do much better thinking when I write things down and sketch things out, which, you know, as a reminder, we do need to add a UI before we do playtesting. So most likely, we have to probably put UI in here somewhere. And I have the sketch for the UI, but we're going to do a town shop as well. And my idea, to save time, is the town shop's going to be a UI driven thing. And I haven't sketched out what the shop should look like or what the equip screen should look like. So I got to figure that stuff out. But let's go back to discussing what our MVP stuff is. We also need to figure out, how many items do we need to, for something here that's viable. We can't just do like 6 weapons when we've got 5 or 4 characters. It's not going to really feel um, very looty, but we're probably going to need more than that. Squeeze the pen as well to the point it's about to snap into. Yeah, it's exactly how it feels. That's why I like the gel pens. Let's see here. Then we need to decide thematically, how are we going to work our dungeons? Are we going to be like Diablo 1 where it's like 16 layers and each time you get to a new level, that's how you go further down, and it's like level 1, 2, 3 all the way down to 16, where I mean they fought Diablo in that one. We'll probably do like a pale champion or something like that in this one. How do we want to do that? Or do we want to think of it as either maybe it's a magical dungeon that every time you go to town, it resets itself. So when you come back, it's a different experience. Or do we have multiple dungeons and each time you click on one, it's just random? So there could be a couple different ways. My thought right now, I'm thinking what I might do is kind of default to the Diablo style, where it's you do level 1, clear that, then you go back to town, and then you go in again. Now you're on level 2. The downside to doing something like that is then the player kind of has this assumption that level 1 still exists, and it's the layout that I've already experienced, and we don't really want to save that, if you know what I mean. Um, I'm trying to remember back in Diablo 1, when you played the game, you saved and quit the game and then went back in, did the dungeon reset? Like level 1 was totally different again. I feel like it was. It's been a little while since I played Diablo, but I feel like every single time you went in, it was reset. But you had those, what do they call them? Town, the checkpoint system, where you can just go in and you could select the levels and you can go down to whichever one you would unlocked. Um, yeah, so we'll just have to sort that out. The other thing I have is traps. Traps are going to be fairly easy. It's just a quick scene to add, but it's like, do we need the traps, and how are we going to handle them? Because if we have them hidden, so characters don't know where they are, and they step on them and it triggers, it could be a dud or it could do like 3 damage. If there's no way for them to detect them, then it feels unfair. Or, when you're down to all your players only have like 1 or 2 hit points left and you're just trying to get back to the entrance to retreat, and somehow you step on a random trap without knowing it's there and you die, you're almost going to feel like, the game was being real negative against you. So I think I may just steal the Dungeon and Dragons adventure board game system, where the traps are always there. You just don't know what level they are, if they're a dud, if they're going to do 3 damage, and then you can walk up to them and then disarm them if you so choose. I think that might be what we will do, or we may just skip traps altogether in this one and kick that to a future, um what do we want to call it, a sequel, nice to have things down the road, post early access launch. What else do we have here? And that kind of reminds me of the other thing is we're going to need an escalation mechanic. I mean, probably we'll need something, but just how do we want to do an escalation so the players don't get bored? As you can see, like right now, we only have one tile that populates that has enemies on it. So when you're walking around and it's populating tiles that are not that tile that spawns enemies, how do we keep the player engaged and having fun? We could do something like the spawners respawn enemies, like every X turns or something like that. They spawn a new enemy. Um, we could do a couple different things, like the Dungeons and Dragons game. You have an event deck and you draw it. Sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's a hidden assassin appears and attacks you from behind. There's a bunch of different things. Um, some of that stuff is way easier to do with a board game and just a card than it is to program into a video game. But that's something we have to look at. Um, so I just kind of want to go through and think through all this stuff and kind of try to make some decisions so that we have a roadmap as we build this stuff out. And then today I'm going to finish up the stream by building probably the entrance and the exit tiles. I do have tile sets or graphics assets for those, and they were released as part of the bonus, Patreon backer add-on stuff for the artist who does the tiles for this. So I'll probably end the stream with building that stuff, but I just want to go through. We want to build out each of these things here first. So let's take a look here. So at first, we want to be able to run through multiple dungeons, like generate new dungeons each time we go through. We need the exit tile, and then we need to add this into our tile builder. So if you remember back here in our tile editor, we have these special elements. So probably what we'll do is we'll add this to make it so we can add it as like an exit tile or an entrance tile or something like that. So then our code will know when that tile gets drawn and needs to do something special. And then there could be other random elements and stuff like that too. Again, right now we still have to populate out this. This is not building this tile asset library is not part of our feature. Our features. The feature is the tile library and being able to pull the tiles and having all that stuff. So that's the feature lock, building the full thing, because we're gonna have to build multiple ones of these that have, this one firewall, and then we'll have a bunch of enemies. One with no enemies, one with 2 enemies, one with a trap and an enemy. We'll build out a bunch of those things so then we can add them into the tile and create things that are going to be a lot more unique experience as you go through. Let's see, what else was there? So we need to spawn a staircase. So it's just going to be a scene. We're going to build the scene. Come on. What I want to do is I think I'm going to add this starting staircase to leave the level early. This is just going to be done because then it's going to be an insurance policy for the players, just in case somehow I've encountered it maybe once with the D&D board game where we got an unwinnable dungeon. I mean, and that's easy to do because then you just toss out the tile and grab a new one, or kind of do a little hand wave and fix things. Video games are a little bit more concrete, so we can't quite just hand wave it and make everything happy. But let's see, what else do we need here? We want the starting stairs, so we'll get that done. The other thing we need to determine here is what happens when we win, lose, and all that stuff. So with all the players die, I mean, it's going to be pretty easy. You get that game over screen, kick it back to town. But what happens when only some of the players are dead at the end of the dungeon run? What happens when, everybody's alive? How are we going to handle that stuff? do we want to allow the players to build their own party of, say, hey, we lost the barbarian survived, but we lost the rogue, the wizard, and the priest. What if they want to just build a party of 4 barbarians and just go try to tackle the dungeon that way? Do we want to allow that, or do we want to always make sure that they have the 4 primary characters? Um, it originally in my dungeon fodder game, when they died, everybody was just dead, and the characters were dead, and you had to buy replacements. You had to hire recruitments in town, and you had to upgrade the, what did I call it, the adventurers hall, something like that, and because it started out with just like a barbarian, and I can't remember what the other class was at the beginning. It may have been the rogue, but it started out with just the 2 classes, and then as you upgrade it, it unlocked like the bard and the druid and stuff like that. Um, so do we want to just flat out replace them with what was lost? You lost the wizard. Okay, here's a new wizard. Um, or do we want to allow them to build the party? So I think that's going to make for an interesting dynamic. I think because we're going for the 100 hours, we have our tight scope. I think what I'm going to lean into is, if a wizard dies, you get a wizard to replace it. So you always have that 4 character composition in your party. But when they die, you're going to lose all the equipment that they have equipped on them. And so I think that's how I'm going to do this. Um, the other question is, because right now, the way we have it is, if the player dies, that's it. They're done. They're removed from the board. If there's, like, say, the priest comes up next, he could heal him and pick him back up. Just like in D&D, you're unconscious, you're stunned for a while, and you can cast a spell to get him back up. You could use like potions or something like that that you buy in town. So I think I think it's gonna feel a little too unfair if we just, as soon as you drop to 0, you're done. So I think what we're gonna have to do is, we're gonna have to revise the characters so that they stay down and they're unconscious. The question is, do we want to do turns, or do we want to do like the D&D board game does, where they have what are called healing surges? And so if you start your turn, like say the wizard got knocked out, the wizard started his turn, and if no one had used like a healing item to get them to stand back up, it spends one of the healing surges and brings them back up to half hit points. You get one, maybe 2 of those per time you go into a dungeon. So I think maybe we want to use something like that mechanic, and then maybe that's something you can buy also in the economy in the store. You can buy like a healing surge, or maybe we call it something besides healing surge. So then we can auto pick that up, and it feels a little bit more fair. I am calling it fodder because the idea is, again, this came from cannon fodder. So when your soldiers die, you just have a line of recruits, and you grab one, and they go right into town and start working for you. Um, so I think we need to extend their death cycle. We need to give them a chance to get recovered. So let's add that in here. Oops, I forgot to close my Outlook. Oh my God, yes, thank you. Let's see here. Turns, what happens when all characters die versus some. So let's do give players a round to be healed. Okay. If not healed, use one of the party's healing surges. Yep. And then we'll just do a limited amount of healing surges. Okay. So then we do that. Then it kind of gives it a little bit fair. But then if they die, if that character dies, or if they're Um, if they're unconscious when another member of the party leaves. Oh, this reminds me up here on this one. Do we want everybody to have to be on the exit tile to leave? Or do we want just as soon as we get one character there, then the whole party is assumed to get out? I think in terms of scope for this 100-hour scope, I think we need to, you know what? I just realized something. We didn't start a timer. Let's go back in here. Let's go back into our dashboard. And we'll start this and we'll say milestone 5 planning. There we go. Okay, well, we got a few free minutes in there, but okay. So let's go back into this. And I think again, because of that scope, I think we're going to say as soon as one player touches it, do we want to do touch it or do we want to use an action to get out? I I think we want to make it. Hmm. What? Yeah, that one's hard because it's like instant end as soon as you touch it. But we kind of want. Well, let's do that. Let's do an instant end when you touch it with a confirmation box saying, "Are you sure you wish to exit?" And if it says no, then it'll back them off the tile. So let's do that. Single player reaches equals exit. And confirmation box. There we go. Okay. The player's dead at the end of the run. All equipment on them is lost. So if one player makes it to the stairs, but the player is down, all equipment on them is lost. Confirmation box. Warning of character loss. There we go. Okay. So then if that person gets on the stairs before they get that character back up, no, let's not do that. Let's just say warning of character loss. Yeah. If they're in that recovery, that healing surge window, that one round, and someone reaches the stairs, let's just assume that the rest of the party gets them out. I think that's a good idea. But if they're dead at the end of the run, all their equipment is lost. And then we want to save and load from the town. So I think that answers that question. Let's see here. We need to build that. We need to incorporate the stairs. We need to starting stairs. Yes is the answer to that. Yes, we need starting stairs. Okay. Let's see. It's called fire. Players die. Okay, we answered that. Do we allow healing with down? The answer is going to be yes. Does equipment go with them? Yes. How do we handle replacement characters? Again, we're going to do one of each class. One of each class. Okay. So that's going to determine when we start building our town, what happens when we get back to town. We go, hey, you're missing a rogue. You're missing a priest. Here you go. Here's a new one. But they're going to start, I'm going to use the term naked because they're not going to have any equipment on them. Speaking of which, that brings me to items. How are we going to do items here? So we got item stats, but do we want assigned slots? This was the original idea I had, was there's a weapon slot and a cloak slot, so that will affect the characters. I'm starting to feel like the cloak idea may be limiting. But I also don't like the idea of restricting. So to say like only the well, who has armor? We don't have anybody with armor. Our barbarian is shirtless. Our rogue, wears leather armor. Our wizard and our priest are both in robes. So armor doesn't really work with our game right now. Yeah. Maybe instead of we do a weapon and an accessory. How about that? Let's do a weapon and an accessory. So weapon and accessory. Because then we can make that interchangeable. ACCE accessory. Okay. Weapons and accessories. There we go. So then that will make it more interchangeable. So then the barbarian can wear a necklace of something. The priest could wear it, or the um, mage could wear it. Wizard, we're calling him. Okay. So let's see here. What else do we need? So we get that. We get that. Items. Do we want to have assigned slots? Yes. And then we just determined it's going to be a weapon and an accessory. Okay. The next question I have here on my handwritten list, again, handwritten notes, is are we going to do. I kind of like how I keep saying we. I mean, I'm the one building it, but engaging with the stream, trying to get some feedback. Can Evan, when his comments come onto the stream, a lot of times they're very valuable. So things like that. So I do use we a lot. I'm also a teacher, so I tend to use the term we. So do we want to make it a shared party inventory and give, like, say, 6 slots, and then anybody in the group can use the healing potion that's in the party treasure? Or do we want to assign each character their own, like, 2-item inventory slot? The what's that called? Tales from Candlekeep. That's basically the video game adaptation of the Dungeons Dragons board game. They have assigned inventory slots for each character. And I feel like that might be the better way to go, because as we spread out, especially if your characters start heading off into, 6, 2 of them are up here on the northern part and 2 of them are exploring the tiles down below. I feel like then it doesn't really make sense to have a shared party inventory, at least thematically, because then you can't just say, hey, give me the potion when you're on the other side of the dungeon. So I think what we'll do is we'll have the characters have their own item slots, and let's just do 2 for right now. So weapon and 2 consumables. We'll call it consumables. So anything that's not a weapon or accessory is going to be a consumable. So a potion of healing, potion of speed, things like that. Do we use the shared party inventory? No. With that exception, I think what I might do is we'll have like a we'll probably call it like an adventurer's hall or something like that. Their bastion, whatever you want to call it. If you play 5e, it's 5.5e technically. A bastion, like their home base back in town, and then there we can probably like store items and things like that. So then, if you do lose a barbarian in the dungeon, you come back and you're like, oh well, here's a fresh guy. Now I'm negatively affected because he's got nothing. But if you have stuff stashed at your adventurers hall, then you can go, hey, here's the old barbarians, the old stuff that he didn't have or wasn't using anymore. So let's get you at least a little bit closer to where you should be. So I think we'll do that. We'll make that an adventurer hall or shared town storage. We'll call it shared town storage. Okay. And then the next item I thought of here is, do we want to make equipment, the weapons and the accessories, purchasable in town? Or do you want to make those so that they're just drops that come from dungeon runs? Because at least right now, like in my testing, I kill a couple monsters, I run away, store the gold. Kill a couple monsters, run away, store the gold. Something like that. In my mind is, that farming aspect. Some players like that, some players don't. But I feel like that might be shortcutting to the end game and doesn't really reinforce that, hey, you should explore the dungeon to find things. So I think what we might do is, like, maybe make the accessories, make those a dungeon drop only. Those will only appear on boss drops and maybe treasure chest, something like that. I think what we can do is probably, like, when we fight boss characters, those will drop the highest item level that we've determined is good for the players. to try help increase their item level so they can do more stuff. So I think because it doesn't really make sense, in town you can go buy a great sword or something like that, but I think maybe anything that's special, like maybe basic weapons are available in town, and then a flaming sword or something like that. Maybe the more high end stuff is going to be only available for dungeon drops. So let's put that. Let's say better drops in dungeon. We'll say that better drops in dungeon. Okay. I will for a lot of this handwritten stuff into this document. Um, does the shop only sell consumables? Yes, and basics and basic weapons. Okay. The other thing I wrote down, and I don't think I really want to do this, does the shop have limited inventory? So you can't just go in there and buy 600 healing potions. Maybe between each dungeon run, it has a limited amount of stock. And when you come back, that stock replenishes. And I think what we might do is we might also change that stock based on your party's item level. Um, but I don't want to negatively reset. So if you're a veteran, you get to item level, I don't know, let's use a scale of 1 to 10. You get to level 5 and you unlock all these, better potions, potion of triple speed or, something along those lines. And then you lose a couple people and now your average item level's back down to like a 3.5 or something like that. I don't want you to lose access to that 5th level stuff you've already unlocked. So I think we'll do it that way. So limited inventory, I'm gonna say per run, and level stays if eye level drops. If eye level, oops, if item level drops. Okay. Okay. Let's see. We just got a couple more things here to go through. We've got traps. We kind of talked about that at the beginning. The big thing is monsters don't trigger traps. I mean, that's going to be pretty easy if we do, based on what's the word I'm looking for? The collision layers and the mask, stuff like that. So we can just kind of go, hey, don't trigger, or even easier, we can just say, hey, if the the actor, there we go, that's the term I'm looking for. If the actor that's on this tile is a monster, just don't trigger. Hidden versus shown. I think because we don't, because if you have like the rogue searching, that's going to take an action, and it kind of feels like a wasted action. Um, in in Hero Quest, the board game, when you search, you can find secret doors, you can find treasure, or you can find traps. But I believe, if I remember correctly, it's been a little bit since I last played with my son. I think you have to declare which of those you're searching for. And I don't plan on having any secret doors because this is all tile based. That'd be a nightmare to implement. Um, and I don't think I really want to have the player wasting an action to search for things. So I think if we make them shown, we just don't know what they are. So we'll have to come up with like an icon to say, hey, here's a trap. We just don't know what it is. So maybe if we do, maybe what we could do probably. Um, I have a couple traps that came with the tile set that I'm using for this, from the Many Fantasy stuff. And there's a couple that have like swinging blades and spikes that come out of walls. And I think for right now, the ones I'm going to use are spikes coming out of the floor. But I think what I'll do is when the trap is placed, we'll just do like a T or something like that on the square. So then people can see that that's a trap square. And then they can choose to either disarm it or walk across it to see what happens. Yeah, I think that makes sense. So let's have them shown with T and then can disarm. Okay. Yeah, and there'll be a created like a spawner, just like a monster, because then perhaps when we get into the escalation mechanic, one of the random things could be all the traps reset. So anything that was disarmed or triggered gets reset. So then we have a new possible uh, outcome. So we'll just change them back from wherever graphics they're on back to those T's to say, hey, be careful. Let's see, what else do I have here for traps? I think we do need them. I have it here written down. I'm like, do we need traps? I think it's a variety of thing to do in the dungeon, and I feel like dungeons should have traps. So I'm gonna say yes to that, and I'm gonna do shown with a T. We're not gonna do search for traps. I'm gonna remove that. Um, the next note I have here is when a character hits a trap, do we halt their movement instantly and apply the damage, or do we do let them continue on and just go with the flow? Um, that one's hard because it feels like it's more dramatic if they step on it and it halts them and we play the animation versus if they just keep walking right past it and we pop up the spikes or whatever as they go by, apply the damage, and off they go. Um, in terms of the scale, the 100 hours, let's just make it so that they just continue right on past. So we won't say no stopping. Yeah, stopping. There we go. So then we don't really have to worry about redoing our stuff. They already have the previs line that shows them, hey, you're going to walk across this trap tile. So they'll know when they click it, yes, you're going to cross that trap. Um, and then we'll still have to build an action to disarm. So let's go over trap. Build action to disarm trap. Yeah. And then maybe maybe that's also an item we might have where they'll allow them to pass through. Like the rogue's mobility we originally talked about, having them allowing him to go through enemy squares. Maybe there's something like that he can get through one of the items. But yeah, so build action, disarm trap. Okay, so traps. Only have two more things really here on my list that we have to worry about. The escalation mechanic. Oh, I misspelled equipable. Equip. EQUIP. Is it IBLE? Nope. Yeah, maybe. Oops. Maybe I had spelled right. Equipable. I think that is right. Now I've got myself wondering, so now I'm going to go look. Let's see here. IPP. ABLE. Okay. There we go. Equip. Still doesn't like that, but that was right? Equipable. EQUIPPABLE. Yep. Okay. It just doesn't. We'll add it to a dictionary so we know it. Okay. So the escalation mechanic. Do we need this? Most likely, I think we're gonna do, or we're gonna need it because I don't want players to get bored. Because especially right now, if we're turn based, it's one thing where like if you're doing a real time one and you're walking around with the thumbsticks or whatever, think Diablo. When you cleared out all the stuff and you're doing the backtracking, it's not really, you don't get to the boring part because you're just constantly walking. I mean, yeah, it is a little downtime. It's more like a rest period, but you're still walking, you're still navigating. But now if you make that turn based of, hey, I need to get all the way down here and this is going to take me 8 moves to get that character all the way down there. That's going to be very boring as you go through each character trying to get them down there. So I think the escalation mechanic probably is going to be needed for that. What did I put here? Risk and boring without it. Yes, so yes, include it. Okay. And then we can do timer based, like actual real time. turn based, tile draw based. How do we want to trigger an event? The D&D board game triggers at the end of a player's turn. So when the player finishes their turn, an event happens. Sometimes an event happens based on the tile that's drawn too. So maybe instead of doing it at the end of every turn, I was like, instead of doing it at the end of every turn, we just put it on the tile draw. But the problem is, if you're trying to go from, again, top left to the bottom right, that is gonna, you're not drawing any new tiles. You're just walking over stuff. So it's something random between like 4 and 8 turns. So then it's not happening on the same initiative pass every time, but it is happening. And we want to make sure we do it on player turns because we don't want the monster turns to count against that. So let's see. Let's do let's do player turns. Player turns. And then let's do it between, we'll add a little bit of randomness in there. Um I think four to is about like 3 to 7. Because then it's going to make sure, because like 4 to 8, there's a good chance it's going to happen if we only have four uh, player characters. It's going to happen, we get two chances it's going to happen on the same character's turn. So let's do every 3 to 7 turns. 3 to 7. Or three to, yeah, let's do 3 to 7. 3 to 7 turns. Okay. And I think it's going to be, we'll just do random things like traps reset. We'll do monster spawn. We'll just randomly select some monster spawners and spawn them. Um, and then what else can we do? Yeah, we'll do this. Not yet. And then yeah, let's do spawners trigger every X turns. And then I'll just point an arrow back up to here. So, and that which spawners trigger will be random. Okay. Okay. So that will make that. And then the last thing I want to do here is I just want to talk about the town shop and the economy, and overall gameplay. Like how long do we want the runs to last? Do we want the runs to be, 5, 10 minutes? It'll probably take more than that, but I mean, do we want them short? You know, my idea when I started making games was kind of making games for dads. People who don't have a whole lot of time, only get like maybe 20 minutes after the kids are bed. And it's like, I don't have time to really dive into something. So if we aim for like 15 to 20 minutes per run, I think that's a good sweet number. Playing the board game like my son, it takes us about 45 minutes to an hour to play through an adventure. I think that might be a little bit too long, but I also think that if we allow the player to keep exploring even after the exit tile has been drawn, then they can choose to extend that 20 minutes to 45 or an hour or wherever they want to do because they know where the exit is and they can leave at any time. But we want to try to, delay until we draw that exit tile. So with that, what do we want to do for our economy? Um, do we want to do chests and then, because right now we just have monsters dropping random gold. And I feel like what we need to do is we need to assign the value of what they drop based on their monster level. So, like right now, our first orcs are the what do we call them now? Let's see here. They are the orcs, just the orc blade, the orc raider, those type of guys. Even our little basic mini orc here. we want to give them probably like low level drops. So maybe they drop, 5 to 10 gold. Cool. And then we just have to keep that in mind that if this is like our first tier of play, we need to price tier 1 items accordingly. And then when we get to the next set of orcs, we need to have them drop, like, instead of 5 to 10, they need to drop 10 to 20. And then so we need to price items in that range. And then the third tier of orcs, instead of 10 to 20, maybe they drop like 30 to 50, and then we price things in the upper range. Maybe not that drastic. 30 to 50 is quite a bit, but you get my point. Like double 5 to 10, double up 10 to 20, double it up again, be 20 to 40. Okay. And then we need to figure out a simple UI for the shop, and we need to figure out a different UI for equipping things. Because I think in the terms of time and scope, I think designing those as independent things will be far easier than going, hey, select the barbarian, buy it, it adds it in there, and then we can also add in the shared party guild, whatever I called that before, shared town storage. Yeah. Okay. But the last thing is, I mean, we have chest. Do we want to add in random chest drops, or do we want to make chest only come from like boss characters or other events? That one's a good question. Um, we gonna pull some from some Diablo stuff. You just kind of randomly come across chests in Diablo, and sometimes they're absolutely worthless. Sometimes they have something good in them. Um, so let's just include the chest, and maybe what we'll do with chest is we'll drop level appropriate gear, but not like the think of, if I'm thinking like Destiny, you know, it's gear that's appropriate to the level you're on. If your average light level is like 250 or whatever, then you're going to get stuff that's like 249, 251. Whereas the boss is going to drop stuff that's like 260. So it's going to help push you to the next level. So, yeah. And then save and load is a thing I want to do in town. So you can save your party, save all your gear. So then you come back and play again. So I think that defines pretty much everything that we need. Did I put town shop, this? Put that in here. And then we need save and load system. I did not put that in there. And we need UIs. Let's call it basic UI. So then we can do a rough in. We can rough in our UI, which we're going to need like the initiative order. We're going to need a characters. What else do we have here? Combat log, characters, combat log. And then in town, we need the town shop. We need the what's it called? The equipment or equip screen. And then we also need the adventurer. Maybe that's all part of this, is part of the Adventurers Guild. That's how I spell it. Adventurers, right? Huh? There we go. Is there anything else we need for a UI? Save and load. We need the title screen. Yeah. If we don't have a title screen, then how are we gonna do it? Yeah, I gotta stop doing that. There we go. Okay, I think that really makes me feel like we don't have enough time in this milestone. The feature lock at hour 60 might get pushed just slightly, but we'll see how close we can get. Okay. And like I said, this is why, I'm doing the stream. I'm doing everything I can. on here to try to, show the entire process of building. And, just like whenever I do game jams and stuff like that, I do a similar process. I try to plan everything out before. So then when I go to build, it's just real quick and I can just bust through everything. Okay, let's jump over here. So we're going to start here with let's start with our building. Actually, let's build the staircase. We'll start with that. Okay, so let's do, actually, I'm going to need some sprites for this. Core components, do we have spawners? We got tiles. Where do I want to stick this stuff? Well, we get tile maps, so let's go find, let me see here, game assets, game development, assets, mini fantasy. Where's our exclusives? Thought it was here somewhere. Planes, all exclusives. Here we go. Add-ons for the dungeon. And then there are, I think this was it. Entrances. Yep, there's our staircases. Okay, so we want to take this. And we'll take the shadows as well. I'm going to go back through and then the polish stage and stuff like that. We'll add in like the shadows and all that. So let's put those into the tile maps. Okay. Okay, let's create a new scene. And we call it dungeon. What did we call this one before? Dungeon tile map. Dungeon tile entrances. Okay. And then that is going to be a tile map layer. There we go. Do I want to do it that way? No, because this is going to be an actual scene. Oh, no. This is fine. Dungeon tile entrances. Okay. Because we're going to create this tile set. We're going to steal what we did with this one. So we keep everything in sync. So square, 8x8. Okay. Let's go back over here. We're going to keep it square. We're going to set it for 8x8. There's another layer here. Is it rendering? Yeah. I think. Did we change that on this one? Let's make sure we change that rendering. Oh, we left that at 16. Okay. Okay, well, let's leave that at 16 then. Okay. And then we need to actually create our tile set. So let's take in our entrances right here. Okay, we're going to put it in. No, I don't want to automatically create it because I want to make sure that I draw this properly. Okay. I'm not sure if I like this new mouse with the wheel because it's registering like the side-to-side motion as a different button press than press and hold. Okay, so let's start with... Okay, yeah, that's just not... So let's make that one tile. Let's make this one tile. Okay. These are... I like these. How do we want to use this? Because we're using 8x8 squares. So yeah, if we just do these, slightly different colors, but it'd be nice if we had these other things around it. Well, we're going to layer this on, so why don't we do that? Let's do Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, so let's just make this We can't do it that way because then it's going to overlap and pull that stuff in. So let's just do this right now. We'll come back here and we'll do some more stuff later. Let's add, this is our stairs up. This is our stairs down, or well, they're both stairs up. How do we want to offset these? Let's go back over here. Texture origin. So I'm always going to keep these lined up like this, but we want that. Where do we want this to be? Let's see here. Texture origin. So I think like this. I want to go -8. Nope, that's too far. -4. There we go. So that will put it in that square. So we have a a 2x6, and I'll put it there. Let me put this one here. That one's going to put it there. Okay. And then let's put these ones in 4 and then 4. Let's put that one in that one, and then this is -4. There we go. And then those can stay the same. Just trying to think about this. How do I, because we're doing all the tiles as top left origin, but we're also going to make this a separate scene. And so where the scene, this is going to be where it gets placed onto a tile in our, I don't have it open right now. But it's going to be where it gets placed into the tile. So if we have, like, say we're going to start, I think we should do top left for all of these. I think that's going to make the most sense. So let's do the top left for all of these. So let's go here and texture origin. We will pick that one, and then we will put the same for all of these. Oh wait, this one is, we need to do -4 also. Boom, boom, because these are 6. Okay, so then we're always going to work on the top left corner. So we're always going to show there, 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 there. Okay, so I think that's good. That's fine there. And then if it's just these single ones, we'll use this. Okay, so save that. Let's do a new scene. It's going to be a 2D scene. We're going to call this stairs. Stairs. It's called stair. Let's make separate stairs up and stairs down. I think that's just going to make the most sense. Okay. So then if we take that and we take our dungeon tile entrance scene, we make that here. Then we take our starting here and we put it right there. Okay. So then that's going to be our stairs up. So we're going to be able to see that. And so that's going to exist right there. Okay. So if we take a, let's just see how things are going to look. So let's, if we do, we'll do this. Save scene as, here we go. Core components, tiles. Spawners, here we go. Stairs up. Spawn. No, we don't want to put it there. We'll just put it right here. Stairs up. That's fine. Okay, so then if we take this, we take our floor. We're going to just quickly draw out a floor here. Like that. Boom. And then, so that's kind of the equivalent of a tile. And then if we take our stairs and we drop that into that square right there. Oops, stairs up. Transform, we want to put that on 0, 0. So then that's what's going to look like when we come in. We're going to see the stairs up. Okay, So let's do the same thing here. Let's do a file save scene as, and that's going to be stairs down. Okay. I'll call this stairs down. And then we'll just replace this with that. Okay. So we save that. Then we come over here. We take our stairs down. And then we can just plunk it in right there. Oops. Stairs down. Make sure our transform is 56, 0. Right? 46. Now what's our 8 times? Yeah, there we go. So then that's what our stairs down will look like when we encounter them in the tile. So when it gets drawn, it'll look like that. Okay, so we've got that look. Now what we need to do is we need to, let's think through this here. We need to come back into our tile editor, and we need to add the option to mark a tile as a like an exit tile, so then it's going to spawn. Actually, we can do it right now with the entrance tile. We can try and make it spawn the tile stairs. So if we go into our tile editor, we have, here's our entrance right here. So let's go into our special elements. And what we call this tile editor, tile builder. Is that where we did it? Special elements. Here we go. There we go. Special. Okay, special element option. Here we go. Here's our special element option. And then option buttons, we need to add an element. So right now we have none, which is fine. Let's add a new one. Let's call entrance, E-N-T-R-A-N, stairs. Yeah, I don't think we need an icon. ID is 1, that's fine. And then we also want exit stairs. Okay, that's fine. We got 1 and 2. Okay, so now if we come back into our tile editor here, and we might have to just do a quick reload. Where is it here? Plugins, there we go. Turn it off, turn it back on. Okay, come back into our tile editor, entrance tile, and then we can do entrance stairs. So then we have that here, and then maybe we need to mark where they're gonna be. Yeah, let's do that. Tile builder, entrance squares. Okay, so let's back here. Where's our buttons? Buttons. So we got trap here. Okay, so let's create one more. Because do we want? Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna probably want it later, and I'm gonna just call it special. Yeah, special button's fine. And then we can do special SPECI special spawn. Okay, let me save that. So now we can use the special spawn, and then we can tell it where on that tile. So once again, we'll just have to quickly toggle on and off. Okay, we can go back into our tile builder. Tile editor, here we go. Let's go into our library, grab our entrance here. We're going to set entrance stairs, and then we can put a special spawn. Oh, we didn't give it a color. Okay. So where we're drawing the tiles, where we put those special. Where did we do this? Oh, here we go, tile. Okay. So then if it's number 5, we need to pick a new color for it. So let's say, what color do we want for the special spawner? I think that works, kind of. Like this rose color. Yeah, because then it doesn't jive or conflict with anything else. Because we already have red, orange. That should work. Okay. Okay, so now if we go back in here, let's edit our entrance. We're going to set the entrance stairs. We're going to do a special spawn. Oh, right. We don't have a... getting ahead of myself. I don't have the button hooked up to anything. Where's our buttons? Buttons, 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 buttons. New button, save button, tile editor button, save button. No, where's our... Is it under this? Here we go. Oop, let's rename that first. Special button, not special button 2. Okay, special button, copy that. We're going to add this in here. We're going to do that. We'll copy this. We'll bind it to number 5. Okay, and then set current tile. Current tile's type. Update this, update that. Okay, that will bind that. And then do I need something in here? We already added that. Okay, so that's good there. I don't think we needed anything special here. Nope, I think we're all set there. Okay, so let's just double check this again. Refresh the plugin. Okay. Edit the entrance stairs, special spawn, boom, boom, boom. We can't edit there, so that's fine. But let's just take this off. So then that is going to be where we'll anchor our stairs every single time. Yeah. So what we're going to want to do. Yeah, I just thought of something. Okay, so we save this to our library. So we have our library. We have our entrance. Not sure why this one is not. Did we do a separate library script? We may have. Entrance stairs. Why didn't that one work? Let's take a look at this, an array. That didn't save properly. Did I forget to hit the save? I thought I hit save. Entrance, special spawn right here. Save to library. Tile map editor, invalid assignment on read-only value. Line 43. Okay, can we save it as a new one then? Entrance. How about we call it dungeon entrance then? We'll call it something new. Save the library. There we go. Now we have dungeon entrance. It still didn't save it. If I put in a monster here and hit save the library. Okay, so we got something I did wrong. Let's just do it real quick. Reload. Oh, what's this? What is this? Oh, we don't need this. Hey, all. I don't even know how to pronounce your. I didn't, but I don't even know how to pronounce that. But good morning. Welcome to the stream. We don't need this right now. We can not save that. That's fine. So let's do a project real quick. Reload. Okay, let's go back here. Look at our tile editor. Tile ID, tile library. Okay, so let's go back here. We'll edit this. We want to do special down right there. Save. We still got this invalid assignment. I've been set to 5. Add-ons, tile editor, tile map editor. Why aren't you allowing me to save? It's like the Hidden Blade made it when I was 13 because I was obsessed with Assassin's Creed. Gotcha. The Hidden Blade. Okay, I see it now. Got it. Yeah. Make me feel a little bit old. When the first Assassin's Creed came out, I think it was 27, something like that. Yeah. Okay, let's see here. So why is this fail? Invalid assignment on read-only value. Cell data. Why is it set to read only? Load tile array. Huh. Why are we not setting the value? Child.value, because we have clearly because this is working. Match value. So we definitely have this is working. So the tile is getting the value of 5 because we are changing the color. Tile map. Special button pressed. We set that. Update the child. Load active. Reset. What are we doing when we save it? Let's go back up here. Save button. Save button. Connect save tile. Okay. Are we doing something here that's not... Well, let's try to try to manually change this. 5. Save. So that's working. I don't understand why that's not working. Yeah. See if we come in here. I mean, that obviously worked. We can manually edit it, but why is the tile builder not displaying it here? Let's see. Where's our tile library? Let's go back here and look. Tile builder. Do I have a tile? Did I make a separate one? Tile library. I did do a separate one for that. Okay, we're ignoring the cache. We do the new tile is tile preview. Okay, what's tile preview under? Tile preview. Okay, let's look here. We set the color. Oh, hey, we need to add the color here. Okay, so let's go back into this. Let's copy this over. Tile preview. Okay, we put that there. Save that. Okay. Hey, there we go. Now we've got that's working there now. But I bet you if we do this, oops, tile builder, tile library. Yep. Okay, so that's working. Okay, I guess we just had to edit the preview as well. Okay, so let's put that back in. Put that here. Save it. Okay, so there's our entrance stairs. Let's go back into our tile library. Let's edit this entrance 2. Oh, no, this is our testing one. We don't want to mess with that. This is our entrance. I'll just call it open. Yeah, open. Or, yeah, we'll just call it open. That's fine. Open. Okay. We've renamed it, so... Oh, it made another one. Okay. So what we need to do, we've got a dungeon entrance and we need a dungeon exit. So let's create a new one, dungeon exit. This is going to be exit stairs, and we're going to put these... What I want to do with this one is I want to draw a wall like this, and then I want to put the exit stairs, like in one of these. So let's just go ahead and save that. And it's not doing it again. Oh, wait. Did we do something in the tile resource? Where would we use for the resource script? Tile data. Let's look at tile data. Scripts. Tile. Nope, we don't have anything in here that's going to restrict it to only 0, 1 through 4. Let's see here. Exit. That's fine. Let's go in here. Row 1. So as soon as we put one in here and hit save, then we can come back into our editor. We have to debug this. I don't know why that's happening. And of course, last time I didn't save because I had the error. Okay, save. There we go. There's now our dungeon exit. Our dungeon entrance should have that. What? Why are you read only? Set up current tile. Current tile is that ready. I don't know why it's doing that, but let's just go back in here. We'll just edit this manually. There we go. Save it. There we go. Okay. Now we can do that. And now it doesn't complain. I don't know. Don't know why it's doing that. It's very, very odd. But anyway, we've got this now set up. Oh, does it think that this is we're trying to alter this protected tile right here? That might be it. But I'm gonna actually change this one. Save. There we go. That one. Why did that one change? Oops. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so our dungeon tile entrance will always be there. There we go. Okay. That was boggling. I don't know why it was doing that. Okay, so let's go back to our game board here. Game board. Let's go to our script for the game board. And we have, where is it? Up here at the top. Our entrance tile. There we go. And we're going to change this into dungeon entrance. Okay, so now it's going to spawn with a dungeon entrance. We want to also into our stack right here. We're going to get rid of this entrance and we're going to replace that with the open. Open. Is that what I called it? Open? Open. There it is. Open. Okay. There we go. So let's save that. Okay, so now it's going to spawn, but right now it's not going to do anything because there's nothing there. But what we need to do is we need to then make the scene appear. So when we go into our tile load, this, and we have, we just did this for like monster spawner. Where are we? Result. Oh no, it's in the game board still. Add tile. Where is it that we are identifying? Where are we identifying the spawners? Pick new tile. Spawners. I thought it was here. I thought when we drew the card, where did we put it? It's been so long since I've done this. Rotate the tile, rotate the tile. Oh, here, terrain ID. Nope, that's not what we want, is it? Terrain ID? Yeah, 3 and 4. This is a chest spawner, trap spawner. Okay, so this is going to be our, this will be our special spawner. Okay. 5. This will be our add special spawner to game board. Okay. So then what we'll do is we'll create a special spawn, and then that's going to look at the drop down list and say, hey, is it this? Is it X? Is it Y? Is it Z? Okay. So then this is going to be where we're going to set the thing. I'm just trying to think, because right now if we rotate the tiles, we've got 4 of those, and that could cause us some problems. So let's try to figure out what we want to do to handle that. Because basically they're like, oh yeah, I could just quickly go in and go, hey, it's the stairs. We're going to cover all 4 of them. But remember, this goes through for every single tile in the board. So if we have 4 of them on here, it's going to try to spawn them in all 4. And we could just always make it so that it spawns dead center. I don't know if I want to do that. But either way, let's just steal our monster spawner. Monster spawner. Okay. We're going to take this scene. We're just going to reuse it. Right now there's like nothing here. I mean, we've got a little placeholder graphic, but that's about it. Okay, so let's do a file, save scene as, and we're going to call this special spawner. Okay, special spawner. And if we come back over here, where were we? Game, was it game? No, this one. So let's go up here, do special, excuse me, special spawner, make that a constant. We're going to come down to here. We're going to steal this. We're going to put that in here. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. And then we're going to call this new special spawner. Will be new special spawner. Okay, so let's take that. Oops, I had it all highlighted. There we go. Okay, and then this is going to be special spawner. Okay. Okay, so this is going to spawn it in that section. You know what? Let's just go back into our tile editor. Let's do this. Let's edit this. And we're going to go back in here. We're just going to leave that first one. because this tile, this entrance tile, is always going to be spawned the exact same way every single time. So don't have to worry about that one right now. So let's save that, and let's go back into our exit here. And so if I deselect this and just save it like this, every time this rotates, this should, so let's say if we rotate it to the right, this will become here, that will be there, that will be there. So that's going to rotate each time. We could always also mark the special to never rotate, but let's go with this for right now. We'll rotate that, and then we'll just do, you know what we can do? Instead of the exit stairs the way we did, let's change our exit stairs. Let's make it a trap door. No, we'll keep working on this. We'll work this way through. We'll do it. Okay, so we got this. We're going to call this a special spawner. Okay, we're going to just steal this script here, copy that. We're going to create a new one. Spawner, special spawner, create. We're going to dump this in. Change this, special spawner. Signal. We don't need to signal. Because we want this to create that 2D scene. So where did we put spawn monster? Was that in game board? I forget. Let's save this over here. Make sure I didn't do special. Okay. Was it in game board? Game board. Here we go. Nope, game board. Did we connect in a spawners, new spawn, actor spawn? Okay, so we put it in the spawners script. Actors game board. Okay. So we do actor, spawn actor, new spawn emit. If node is monster spawner, node.spawn monster. Connect spawn actor. Okay. So here's our spawn monster, and then we just do this. So we can just do game board. Let's make our stairs its own thing. We've got spawners here. Let's create a new add child node 2D. We're gonna call this stairs. Okay. We'll put that right up here, right underneath spawners. Stairs. Okay. And then in spawners, we'll do an export. Export var stairs node 2D. Okay. Okay. So then we can connect in our stairs. Boom there. Okay. And then on this, child enter tree. If node's a monster spawner. If node is special spawner. Then we could do where do we put our special spawner? There it is. And then here's where we do the spawn. Okay, so let's go back here. And special spawner node.spawn special. And then we can spawn special. PECIAL. There we go. Okay. Yep, I know. We don't have that yet. So we can just do this. Doom function spawn special. Okay. We probably won't use an actor, but we will need a location. Okay. New spawn emit. You know what? I'm just going to put pass in here. We'll figure that out as we do this. Okay. So let's go back here. We'll save this. We'll go back into our special spawner. Okay. So this is special spawner. We're going to do spawn special. And then we're just going to spawn the location. Actually, we'll need this over here. Connect. Yep, that's fine. It's only got that single location. That's fine. Oh, we need to send the scene. Actor. This will be the, we'll just call it a node 2D. Okay. And then we'll come back over here. This will need to be the special. Okay. And then this will be a special underscore special. That's going to be a node 2D like that. Okay. Or should that be spawn node? Oh, this will be the node that comes in. Okay. Signal is still emitting spawn monster. Where? Spawns. Oh, right here. Yeah. I haven't gotten back to this yet. That's why. So I was just trying to eat through what I need to send. So I need to send the stair scene, and I need to spend its location. Okay, so let's go back here. Special, emit, new actor. Okay. It's not new actor. It's going to be new. New special. Okay. And then that is going to be based on, I'm just going to keep this right here for right now. What we need is a export array or var. What do we need? We need, right now, what we have for specials, we have entrance stairs and we have exit stairs. So let's do entrance stairs. Actually, we can do, yeah, we don't want an array. We're just going to make it a pack scene. That's perfectly fine. Okay. Entrance stairs. Oops. Then we're going to do exit stairs. Okay. So then we can populate those. And then the new special is going to be, we're going to have to look at, where we're receiving here. When we get node, when we get spawn here, we need to look at the tile. So where we call spawn was in these. Okay, so when we're spawning this, spawn special, add child, new special spawner. Here we're calling spawn, but we need to tell it which tile it is. Data. Right? There's data, where's our tile data? Tile data. Okay, so this should be all of this, I believe. Draw terrain from array. So we're getting the tile data for Y and data. Match the terrain ID. No, this is the X and Y. We need the full tile. Oh, right here, new tile. So we are sending the new tile, right? Yes. Nope, that's rotate tile. Shoot. We are not sending it here. So draw terrain from array. We're only sending the actual X and Y coordinates and the values and this. So we're not sending that drop down value. I'm sorry, I haven't kept up with this much. Of these dungeons procedurally generated, and that's why you're creating different tiles. I hesitate to use the term procedurally generated because it's only semi-procedural. What I'm basically making is a tile stack that has weighted tile draws, and as you draw the tile, it then placed down and connected to the previous tile. So semi-procedurally because it's random each time what you're going to get, but it's a semi. It's not 100% random because they're already determined what the tiles are. So let me just do something else here, and then I will show you a quick example. Let's see here. So here we are passing the new tile here. New tile, cell data, comma chords. Why don't we just send the entire tile? I think I'll change this here. We'll send the entire tile. Draw terrain from array. Oh, wait a minute. Did I mess this up? Oh, no. These are all draw terrain from array. Okay. So if I just add in, so this is the cell data. Just trying to think of how I'm going to do this because all the rotate, I'm just sending the rotation. Whoops. Just sending the rotation stuff. So right here, because this is our main thing, we're sending the data. We could just add on the, it's just duplicating data. That's why I'm kind of hesitating here because I could change this just to send the new tile. And then when we do this, we can just take the tile and then set up the tile data. Let's just add the, let's just send the tile, the new tile here. We'll just send the entire tile. Okay. It's not a good solution, but I'm going to do it because, and then this is going to be tile data. Okay. Cannot have mandatory parameters after optional. Oh, we got to make this. There we go. Tile data null. Oh, it's just tile, not tile data. Tile. There we go. Okay. And then when we do this, then we can spawn, we can call the new tile here. Okay. So then when we're in the special spawner, then here we can look at the tile. So let's see here. We're going to get in our tile. That's going to be of type tile. Okay. So then we can say if tile, oops, underscore tile dot special equals none. And then we can just return. There's nothing to do because so we marked a special, but we didn't set a drop down, so we'll just return. We won't create anything. Okay. Did we call it none? What did we call it? What was our value for that? Drop down to tile builder. We gave it a it'll be faster. Just go this way. Here we go. None with a capital N. Okay, so let's use that. Equals none. Okay, then returned. You know what we should probably do? We should, oops, match. That was special, colon, and then it's none, return. Okay. And then it is, what's the, I'm forgetting my formatting for right now for some reason. Let's go back to match. Okay, it's just a new line. Okay. none. And then if it's going to be entrant, what do we call it? Wow. Should not have closed that scene. We called it entrance stairs and then exit stairs. Okay. Entrance stairs. Okay. And then we can do this. We can do that. And then we can match exit stairs. I'll just do that to get that done right now. We need to actually give it a scene. So this will be entrance stairs dot instantiate. And then this will be a new special. Okay. And we'll do the same thing roughly here, except for this will be exit stairs dot instantiate doom to doom. And then just as a placeholder in case something else comes across, we can just return. Okay. Okay, so that's there. This was a special spawner. Where's our scene? Special spawner. There we go. Quick load. Stairs up. And exit stairs. Stairs down. There we go. So we save that. Okay, so let's think about this. We've got, if we come across a 5, we're going to spawn these scenes. They're going to do a spawn special emit. That's going to go back to here. Nope, not here. Game board? Game board. Game board. Spawners, new spawn connect. Okay, so we need to go back into spawners. Okay. So this right here, we're going to connect into this. We're going to come down to spawn special. It's going to give us the node and the location. And this new spawn emit, this is connected, I believe, to our game board. Game board. Spawners, new spawn, connect. And that goes to the actor spawn. Okay. But that gives us all this fun stuff. So we need this, but we don't need anything else. So let's go back here. Let's do a function, special spawn, SPAWN. Okay. And then that's going to be the, we'll just call it special. Easy special, node 2D, and then the location. And that's going to be a vector 2. Wow. I'm already getting really good at not being able to type today. There we go. Vector 2. Void. Let me put that in here. This is going to be stairs. Oh, shoot. Instead of calling it stairs, do we want to just call it specials? Because it could be... Well, right now, all of our specials are just stairs. So let's just keep rolling with this. Stairs, and then did I put stairs up here? I don't think I did. Actors panel, spawners. No, I did not. Okay. Game board. Stairs. Oops. Clicked a little too fast. Here we go. Stairs. Add child. Special. Actually, you know what? Let's call this stair spawn instead. Stair spawn. And we'll call it stairs. Okay. Add child stairs. And stairs. Okay. Okay, so then that stair spawn, we connected that up here. Oh, here we go. Ready. Spawners, new spawn connect. Spawners, we'll call it stair spawn. Stair spawn. There we go. Okay, so then we need this signal into our spawners. Spawners. To D. There we go. Okay, so then we come down here, spawn special. If, we'll just do it this way. Stair spawn dot emit. We can add the, I'll just put a note here. Add in check for stairs. Okay. Wow. Check for stairs. Emit special, comma, location. Okay. You see. Spelling, man, spelling. Okay. So, node, spawn special connect, spawn the special spawn here emits the new special in the global position. And then spawners takes that, connects it down here to spawn special, spawns the stairs and the location back to the game board. Game board then adds them. Okay. And then we did change the up here to be dungeon entrance, I believe, for game board. Game board. Where did I put entrance tile? There we go. Dungeon entrance. Okay. So this should spawn a stairs, but I guess it doesn't work. From object to callable. Oh, whoops. Spawn special. Okay, there we go. Oh, right. These are enums, aren't they? Invalid access property or key special and base object type null. So it didn't do. Let's look at our stack here. Here's the stack trace. Here we go. So game board entrance dot cell data. Oh, because we never passed the tile data here. Okay, so let's do that. Tile, this location is going to be a vector 2, 0, 0, or actually vector 2.0. We'll use the keywords, and then we can send in entrance. There we go. Okay. And I feel like there's something there, but let's see. Okay. So we got that placeholder graphic. Spawn, special spawn. Duty. Entrance, exit stairs. Okay. Let's see here. Entrance stairs, instantiate. Spawn special emit. New special. Okay. So we send that up. But why is it not? So we're adding in the spawner. So that part at least is getting added in properly. We do spawn special. We emit the stairs in this case. And that goes to spawners. So here's the spawner. Spawn special, connect, spawn special. Here's our special. Let's just do a quick print special dot name. So let's just make sure we see our entrance stairs here. Are we on game board? There we go. And we're not. Oh, wait. New child entered special spawner. Nope, that's not what we're looking for. Okay, so this. New child entered special spawner. So we got that. If node is special spawner, node special spawn connect. Special spawn. Oh, wait, did we let's look at where's our monster spawner? So we're never actually calling the spawn. So let's go back and look at our special spawner. Let's print our tile. Oops. Print tile dot special. Okay, so let's see what happens here. We at least getting there. Special is number 1. Okay, so this is not matching against this. This is matching against the enum values. Okay. There we go. Okay, so here's our stairs. They are definitely spawning in the wrong spot. That should be easy enough to fix because we added the offset in here. Where did we put it? Stair spawn. And we can just take this off. That should fix that. Okay, so now we got our stairs. They're spawning in the right spot. Our primary characters are not spawning where I really want them to be. So let's take these guys. Oops, no, I just want these guys. I want to move them. I want to move them to the right just a little bit. Can I see? Here we go, transform. 4. We want to add 16, so let's do... There we go. Whoop. There. Okay, so now they should spawn next to the stairs. There we go. Boom. Okay, so now we got our stairs spawning there. And then if we do, move here, end turn, boom. Okay, end turn, we can explore up that way. We can move him up here. Okay. Oops, move. There we go. Yep. Okay, so now we have our stairs. So now what we need to do is we need to be able to interact with our stairs and make it so that we can run away, leave, flee. But let's do one other thing. I just want to double check here. If I do, just want to see, where's our dungeon entrance? And then we did the specials 1. Let's do 2 for an exit tile. Just want to make sure see what that looks like. There we go. There's our exit tile. So then we can move around it and stuff like that. Oh no, monsters! And they're standing on the exit tile. Okay. Let's go ahead and set that back to 1. Let's save that. Okay. So let's go back to our stairs. And let's work with our stairs up. Okay. Attach a script. And then these, let's see, what are we going to need to do with these? We need to... That's a good question. Class name. Oops, class underscore name. Stairs. Stairs. Oh, no, we got to keep our naming conventions. Here we go. Okay, so what we need to do is when our players are on the stairs, we need to be able to make them retreat to town. And they are, let's bring up a rogue. ROGUE. Did I give them an actual layer. I don't remember. Collision layers. 2. Player. Okay. Yep. Okay, so let's just put a go back here. We're going to add a area 2D. This is going to monitor for players. Okay. Let's add in a collision shape. Okay, we'll make that a square, rectangle. Okay, pretty much exactly what we need, but we need it to be here, and it needs to be 16 by 16. Oops, put it right there. There we go. Okay, so save that. So that will detect for players. We need to connect in. We'll just copy all this over onto the stairs down here in a second. So we're just going to call this stair, call it player detector. Okay. I'll bring that in. We'll do our ready. If, no, we want to do player detector dot on body entered, on body, is it on, what is it called? The signal, it's a body, just body entered. There we go. Connect, and then we want to do here, check for, or no, confirm exit. Confirm egg. Oh boy. Today I'm having a great time. Okay. So we want to confirm exit. We want to do a function, confirm exit, this should be a bool. No, let's do a void here because we can't return anything to that. Okay, confirm exit. What we need to do is we need to create like a label. Let's see here. Add label. Return to town. I feel like I want to make this a UI pop-up. Yeah, let's make it a UI pop-up instead. So let's delete this. Delete that out. Okay. So what we can do is, oh, actually, you know what? We have a game manager. Well, we have game manager. Here we go. We can add in a signal here. Signal dungeon signal. Wow. Back to town. There we go. Back to town. And then here, I'm just trying to think here because do we want to signal back to town? And then we can also have a signal of signal confirm. Signal confirm. Yeah. So then here we can do back to town dot connect. My brain just like went like 16 different directions at once. Of like, trying to follow a map that you've never looked at before. And it was like, okay, I want to signal. I mean, it's a real basic idea of what I'm trying to do is get in the stairs, pop up and go, hey, you sure you want to go back to town? Yes or no? And then send it back. I'm just gonna leave this like this for right now. This is called our game manager. So let's go back into our stairs, confirm exit. So let's do game manager dot back to town dot emit. Okay. Okay. So we'll emit that, and then we'll have a separate UI thing that says, hey, confirm or deny. Right now, I think what we'll do is compare. We'll go back to town. We'll emit that up to the game manager. We'll go to the game manager, and then we can do. Let's just connect this in here for right now. Back to town.connect. And then head to town. Function, head to town. Oops. Print. Party headed home. Boom. And then we can do get. Here, we'll just do this for right now. Get tree dot quit. Auto accept quit. I'll just do quit. There we go. Okay, so now if we move on to that, that should say we're ready to quit and go back to town. Yeah. And oh, we need one more thing. We need a Y sort. But we also need the origin of the Y sort. Okay. Sorry, brain thinking. So let's save this. We've got this here. We've got stairs. We have confirm exit. Head back to town. Okay. So if we take our players and we move onto here. What did we mess up? Body entered to callable. Stairs up.gd. Expected 0 arguments, but called with 1. Okay. So let's go back to our stairs up. Back to town, emit, confirm, exit. Oh, right, because we send in the body. That's right. Body, we'll just call it an actor. That's fine. There we go. Okay. Whoops. Game board. There we go. Okay, so then if we do that, we move on to the stairs. Hey, party head back home. Okay, so we got that. Let's just make a real quick pop-up, and then we'll call, I'm going to call that a good day. And when we spent the first hour planning, but I think we did a pretty good job today. So let's see here. Let's get a real quick pop-up. Let's go back to our game manager. You know what? Let's just do it in the stairs. Why not? So we'll do a confirm exit here. Function. PR prompt. Exit. Okay. And then here's where we'll take the body. We'll take that, put that in here. Void. Okay. And then here we'll prompt exit. Okay. And then we're just gonna do a real quick create, add child, label, leave. Oops, not D, Control A, and button. Yes. Control D, button 2 is no. HBox. We'll just take all these. We'll put this into an HBox. And then, so we'll put that there. Let's put this above the stairs. There we go. And then we'll slide it to the right. There we go. Leave, yes, no. Okay, so this will be yes, oops, yes, and no. Okay, and then we'll just bring all this in here. We'll do HBox container. We'll do yes, we'll do no. Oops. Those are supposed to be up here. Okay, and then here we can just do HBox.visible. is IBLE equals true. In ready, we want to say it's false. Okay. If this is true, and then we want to do yes.pressed. Wow. I definitely need to connect, and that'll be the confirm exit. Okay. No.pressed. Connect. And I'll just call it hide. Function underscore hide. Oops, not underscore. Right? I just did hide, right? Yeah. Function hide. Okay, and then here we'll just put this back. And then we will disconnect the two here. All right, we can't use hide because we already hide prompt. Because hide is already a valid term. So then here we will press dot disconnect and dot disconnect. Okay. Okay, so now we should have a prompt. It'll confirm with us. The downside is if we hit no, the character is going to stay on the stairs, but we should have a return to town prompt. Oh, because I'm an idiot. Ah! Gotta use the variable name, not the class name. Move. Leave? Yes. Okay, game's over. And then if we do move, leave, no, then it just hides it. Okay. That should be fine, I think. Let's see. We got a new error. Let's just double check our error. Make sure it's not something stupid. Attempted to disk. Oh, because this, I changed the name of this. There we go. See, it was something stupid. Okay, so now we've got a entrance tile and a way to exit, and we'll go back to town. Cool. I think let's go back over here real quick. Let's do stop on this. Let's look at our Kanban. We did a. We didn't do that. Didn't do that. Didn't do that. We kind of did this. You know what? All this stuff actually needs to be in our. The tile library is definitely not, but we did do this build exit condition. So I'm going to put that in progress. So we've got that. So we did do all that fun stuff. Whoops, wrong button. And okay. So we've got this. We've got a entrance tile that spawns. The one thing we don't have I need to go back and do this, especially it's going to be in this loop, is right now where we spawn, right? This is where it's set. So we're adding in these characters. They came in with these preset things. I need to set up an offset so that when it starts, then we're going to have clear start positions for where players will start. I think what we might do is D&D adventure game uses a double tile. So I think our entrance, this feels really cramped right now. You come down the stairs and then you're right here. So I think what I might do is add in either maybe like a cross section so that there's always like 5 to start with or something like that, or at least a double one. But that should be fairly easy because if we do, you know, like right now, if I do, where is our game board? So right now where we have, where's our entrance tile? There we go. Here's our entrance tile. And then we set up the stack. We do this right here. So this is, I'm not saving this. So that's why it's not counting against our stuff. But if I do vector 2, 0, and then we do, what are they? It'll be off 16, 32. So do 32, 0, like this. And then when we start, you know, it should have, oh, that's 2. Oh, right, because these are grids. So we want to do 4, 0. So if we do it this way, now see we've got those, or if I do -4, it'll put it right here, right next to it. So then we can have like 2 squares that will start right off, and we already have, it's already set up, it's already added into the thing. So if I go here and then, move, we can already move onto that tile, or we should be able to. For some reason, it didn't get added properly, but that's kind of like the idea of, where I was thinking to go with this. I'm just curious now. Can I move on to that one? Yeah. Um, for some reason, that initial spawn to the negative's not working, but I think I have an idea why. But that was what I'm thinking probably I'm going to do with the entrance tile, is just make it, wrong button. There we go. Make it doubled up so that we can have a wider area that we can spawn our characters on. Because when we come into town, we're not going to have this right here. We're not going to have these characters preset. I think what it's going to do is we're going to have that stored array in our game manager to keep track of all of the party members. And then when they come in, it'll just go, go right through the array and go blip, 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 starting points, is what I think we're going to do. So, yeah. So I think, again, I think we're really good today. So let's go back over here. So tomorrow, oh, actually, wait 1 second before we go too much further. Let's save all this. Let's go to our GitHub. We did bring this over here. So we added stairs and spawners. Okay. And we are at we are at 53 hours right now. So just over 53. So we'll say, we'll just call it 53 hours for right now. There we go. So we'll commit that to, so we're at 53 hours on this. I think we're in a good position. We got 7 hours left. We just spent an hour, a little over, in planning. So I think that's going to really pay off for us. We have a clear idea right now what we need to do. We need just a couple things that are going to be fairly simple tweaks. If we go back to our handwritten list of all the fun stuff, we determined all the extra things, the different dungeons. We need to add in traps, which is basically the exact same thing we just did with stairs. That's going to be fairly simple and straightforward. We're still going to use the area 2Ds, all that fun stuff. We're not stopping the character, so it's just going to trigger. That should be pretty easy. We'll do that tomorrow. You know what? Let's add in traps for tomorrow. Let me put that on my list right now. 724. 26. Number 1, traps. Okay. Okay. So that'll be the first thing we do tomorrow. Is we'll build the traps out. We'll get those on there because we've already got that stuff working in the tile editor. I do need to add that bug in for the tile editor is not working when we add in the special, but we'll get there. We made the entrance tile. We're going to finish the exit tile. Tomorrow we'll add that into our tile stack because right now we don't have an exit tile, so there's no way to draw it. But we'll finish building that and we'll get that added in. Let's see here. Win, lose, draw. That's going to be fairly easy. Player manager. That's going to be pretty straightforward. The big thing, and this is where I'm going to probably need, I want input from you guys, is the items. What items are we going to use and how are we going to add them? Right now, where everything's based on dice pool, and the example ideas I came up with was, like a broadsword adds +1 dice or something like that. I don't know, if I want to keep doing that or if I want to do something else. But I need kind of like an idea of items that we can add, especially consumables. We have the buff system. We got that in place in Milestone 4. So we've already got things like defense up, attack up, speed up. We have that type of stuff in place. We have healing in place, so we can heal people, stuff like that. So, just some ideas for items that we can add, because we definitely want to make sure we have that, especially consumables. Let's see here. What else do we have? Items. We have to build the inventory. It's going to be real simple. Um, I've done inventory on quite a few games, so it's going to be pretty straightforward of how to do this. I don't think I'm going to need the whole uh, super abundant, you know, verify the slot data and this is what happens on this use and this type. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. Like I said, I've done it plenty of times, so that's going to be pretty easy. Traps and the escalation, that's going to be fairly easy because we're just going to grab the spawners and we're going to go through, and based on however many turns the game manager has counted, we're going to just keep track of it, and then we're going to just randomly spawn that stuff. So um yeah, so tomorrow we'll do the trap tiles, we'll do the um we'll finish up the exit tile, we'll get that in there, and then we will build a very simple let's do the full loop tomorrow. So we'll have a town. We'll be able to go into a dungeon, start this off, explore it, escape back through there, or hopefully maybe get to an exit tile, and then go back to town. Keep all of our gold, go back in. So let's tomorrow's go. We're going to complete the loop. That's our goal for tomorrow. Uh, I'll even title the episode "Complete the Loop." So that should be everything we need. And then we'll build through everything else. With that, my son is about to get home from soccer camp, so I've got to get ready to entertain him for the rest of the afternoon. So I think we are in a good spot, and I look forward to doing this again tomorrow. Again, if you like what you have, or if you like what you're seeing, you're curious to see how this project goes, make sure you subscribe down below. I'm still working on creating a summary series. So if you're just joining now, we're 53 hours into it. Uh, I don't need you to watch 53 hours of live stream. I don't. If you want to go back and watch them, cool. But I'm trying to create a summary series where it's like 10 minutes roughly for every couple hours that I'm on stream, so that you can catch up to the project real fast, and it'll be a more entertaining way. I've changed the format of how, I've been writing the script, and I keep changing the format of how I want to do those videos. Because the entire series was more about making a plan, making the decisions, and then implementing them. And that's how I approached the video originally. I don't, it makes it harder to produce to do that, because then I have to go back and gain or find additional footage to then, you know, do the what if scenarios, stuff like that. So I keep changing the script around. I keep reinventing the wheel, so to speak. But I'm going to get those done so then people can catch up and hopefully bring a lot more people up to speed. And then in 7 hours, I'm going to be able to have something here that's feature locked, and we'll be ready for you guys to give it a run on itch. I'm a little nervous on that. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be ready at 60 hours. That's still the goal. I don't want to delay it, but getting that UI implemented, I think, is going to be a real pain. Um, so I might very well do skip the town stuff for now. Not like skip it like it's not going in, but once we get that complete loop playing, not skip over, but put the UI in front of building the town shop, building out the items and all that stuff, just so then we can get the loop playable and the interface to where it's actually going to work for a playtest. Because then we can go back in and add more items, add more monsters. We can add all that stuff, the content, after we need to get the systems in place. So I think that's probably going to be my focus next week, is going to be, let's get the UI in place and get ourselves prepped for the playtest. So fingers crossed. But with that, I'm going to take off and get some lunch, and or get lunch ready for when my son gets home. And I will see you tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. I think I figured it out. It's 2 p.m. UTC. But keep an eye out, and I'll be back with you tomorrow morning, and we'll get the full loop of Dungeon Fire tiles playing. Town, dungeon, back. So that's awesome. Okay. Catch you later, Hidden Blade. Thanks for Chris for joining us today, and I'll see everybody tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.